Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we'll look at a very instructive game played by my student. You've seen his games before. Once again, it's Ethan. And here he's facing someone rated about 1650 USCF. This is an instructive game because Ethan misplayed an opening, but then his opponent made some very instructive mistakes. And Ethan found the brilliant tactic to turn the game around and win. So let's take a look. Ethan with the black pieces. White starts with c4, c6, we have the Caro Kann, have d4, d5. Main line, white has many options. White can take, white can defend. In this game, white chooses to push, pawn e5. Ethan plays the second main move, which is very respectable, pawn c5, challenging the center. And white played a very unusual move, which made Ethan a little confused. The main moves, of course, are taking the pawn, supporting your pawn with the knight, also supporting your center with the knight, supporting your pawn with another pawn, challenging the center. But white played the move, which, according to the Master's database, was only played 3 times, knight c3. And that eventually threw Ethan a little bit off. So first he plays the normal move knight c6, just continuing to pressure the center. White plays bishop b5. And now, as you can see, there are several reasonable moves you can take right away. You can support d5. The downside, of course, is you're blocking your bishop. Ethan did not want to do that, but his move, the move which he played, is not a developing move. It gives white an advantage. Pawn a6. And the reason it gives white an advantage is after takes, white can start taking. It will be very hard for black to get the pawn back. White did not take. White played h3. I'm guessing he wanted to play knight f3 and did not want to get pinned. So h3. And here, again, Ethan needs to do something about this pawn. Maybe he can take first. Maybe he needs to play e6 and defend. But he decides to develop the bishop, which of course is something you want to do. But again, this gives white one more chance to take this pawn. White does not take the pawn though. White plays knight f3. Ethan solves all his problems and plays e6. He is happy, his bishop is out, he now supports his pawn, and he's doing quite well. And white castled, which makes perfect sense, and now black has to be very, very, very careful. And again, it's something to do with these pawns. Because black needs to finish his development. And specifically, he needs to move the knight, but he doesn't really want to put the knight here. Occasionally, white can take. The problem with putting the knight here is you block your bishop. So black, as you can see, should probably take, and then figure out what to do with this guy. But Ethan plays knight e7, which blocks this bishop, which gives white one more chance to take. And white finally takes. And normally it's okay for black, because black thinks he can get this pawn back, except black will not be able to get this pawn back. Sadly, Ethan develops, he plays knight g6. He wants to put more pressure here. He also reopens the bishop. White defends his pawn. Makes sense. Bishop e3. Ethan plays queen b8 because of this tactic, which looks kind of cool. The problem is it doesn't quite work, because white comes up with a cool idea. He plays bishop d4, which defends this pawn, but also threatens some tactics on the diagonal. And those tactics happen. Ethan took. White took here, and white is doing really well. He's up a pawn. He will have a glorious knight. Black is a bit behind in development. queen b7. The queen is... well, this is also being threatened. So the queen needs to move and the fork needs to be stopped. So queen b7. White should move the rook first, but okay, this is good enough. Knight b6. Saving the knight to a nice square. Ethan plays rook d8, trying to cause trouble. This already is defended, so white simply steps to the side. Queen e2. Ethan moves the knight. He wants to centralize it. That makes perfect sense. Queen e3. Ethan puts the knight on g5. Takes, and Ethan takes with the rook. White improves the rook. Rook b1. Queen saves itself, and now rook b2. Defending the pawn from the bishop and getting ready to double. So white is 7 all the fun. Ethan finishes his development, bishop e7. Rook b1. Castle. Rook b7, that's a good rook. There is a bishop behind it. So Ethan has to play queen d8. Rook b2, defending the pawn. Ethan offers rook trade with rook d7. White says no, attacking both pawns. Ethan defends, queen c8. And white consolidates everything with pawn c3. And the problem for black is you don't really have a plan. White has more space, white has an open line, and there is not much black can do in terms of plans. Ethan just plays a waiting move. And now this is a very instructive moment because white gets bored. He needs to ask himself a very important question. And that question is, how do we make progress? How do we improve? And one thing you realize, these rooks are great. This bishop helps support everything, and you can't really do too much with him. But this knight is not doing too much. And the question you ask yourself is, why do I want that knight? And the answer is here. And then you ask yourself, how do you get it there? Well, the answer is this. And if you can give white 3 moves, it's not like black can do anything. This knight will show up. If black ever takes with the bishop, white will take with the pawn, and he will have the best pawn ever. But white didn't do that. White got bored, and white said, I am bored, I'm going to attack the king. The problem is, this rook's on the wrong side of the board. This bishop is not attacking anyone at the moment. So, this is just... high-level hope chess is the generous way to describe it. G4 is played. Well, Ethan needs to save the bishop. White continues his pawn storm of doom. Again, computer says this square. Computer wants this square, but h4. Alright. This is being threatened, so Ethan stops that. h5. Okay, the bishop saves itself. Once again, computer says, please go back and do what you're supposed to do, but have a pawn storm. By the way, notice white is actually also opening up his own king. His rooks are on the wrong side to accomplish any sort of the attack. Pawn takes, knight takes. Okay. Ethan double attacks the knight. White trades. Takes, takes. White comes up with a tactic. Takes here because he has a dream of forking. Rook c6. Fork. Ethan plays g6. White takes. Ethan takes. So white is still doing quite well here. But it's a little more random. Because now white king is a little bit open. So white needs to be careful. And he has to play very precisely. White checks, which is okay. Ethan drops the king back to h8. Queen f3 attacking the pawn. rook g8. And now this is the key moment. White needs to realize where the king should go and where the king should not go. And white makes probably the worst decision of all the king moves. He moves the king to h1. As you can see, already this is 0. Ethan comes up with a very nice way to cover this pawn. He plays rook g7. The point, of course, is if white takes, Ethan has a very nice pin tactic. White, of course, did not fall for this. Instead, white played rook b6 and attacking this pawn. And in this position, Ethan found a really nice tactic. And I'm going to pause and see if you can find it. And the tactic which Ethan found is really cool. He sacrificed his bishop. He took here. Why? Because he wants to checkmate. He's also attacking the rook. So white is in trouble. And this is important. Every position you should always look for tactics. And Ethan is really, really good at that. Bishop c5, very nice. Attacking the rook, threatening mate. White plays rook. White plays rook b8. Ethan took. White took here. Okay, a little bit of conversion is required. It's a rook against the bishop. So Ethan checks. King h2. Ethan checks again. King h3. Ethan decides not to take any chances and just simplifies into an endgame. Plays queen g4. White has to take. Ethan takes with the rook. He has ideas of bringing the rook sideways. Okay, white plays a solid move, restricting our rook. Bishop d4. Ethan improves his king, king g7. f3. Ethan saves the rook, rook g5. c4. Okay, this pawn might be a little scary, so Ethan just moves the king out of the way with the idea to bring the rook around. Makes perfect sense. Let's see. What happened next? King h7. c5. Rook g8. Rook goes back. King h4, king g6. And this game will be decided in a couple of moves. King g3. Ethan plays king f5 check, and the king is invading. So it's, if the king goes here, black will just pick up this pawn. But white makes a worse move. He plays here, which of course now means that the king is cut off. And the pawn will simply run. Ethan won this game in about 10 moves. White resigned. So great job to Ethan, but a couple of lessons from this game. Number one, always look at your position and ask yourself, what is my worst piece and how can I improve it? In the case of knights, ask yourself, is there a nice outpost somewhere? And there is this outpost which White should have found. And the second lesson, don't just launch attacks on the opponent's king. Make sure those attacks make sense. Make sure it's not just you being bored. It was a very instructive game. I hope you enjoyed it, and to Ethan once again, very impressive. The young man gained 600 rating points in the past 7 months, and he, I believe, is going to gain many, many more. Good luck to you, Ethan, and everyone else. Please like, please subscribe. I'll be back soon. Thank you.